Hi, my name's Billy. I read books and I've read The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Arlington. And this is book one in the Licanius trilogy. And it's about the best part of 700 pages long. It's a big book. But don't be put off by that because this is very, very fast paced. It doesn't take a long time to read and you will breeze through it, blast through it and have a real good time. So I like this. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Let me tell you why. So the story starts at basically a magic school in a way. It's in a toll, which is like a name for like a stronghold in this world. And we follow our main character, Davian, as he's about to be coming up to being tested to whether he can use essence, which is the magic in this story. And he's got a couple of close friends there, I think that's how you pronounce his name, and Asher. And they've both been tested. They're both gifted. That's what you're called if you can use essence. And they're friends with Davian, who is worried and he's struggling about whether he will be able to pass the test. Now, you might be thinking, well, this sounds like a generic fantasy tale of a chosen one at a training school and blah, 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 and it's not. Don't be put off because this, what I've just explained there is not a spoiler in any way because this is established very early on in the book. And from that moment then, things change. Whatever you might think is going to happen probably may happen a little bit, but then other events take place and you will be surprised at how this story goes. And one of the main things, one of the best things I like in this book is that it asks a lot of questions and it makes you doubt all the characters because all the characters have hidden motivations or other motivations and you can't quite trust or be certain what the characters' motivations are. Now, that doesn't mean that this is all going to be dragging on over the course of the 3 books. A lot of this stuff gets resolved by the end of the story. So as this is such a big book, 700 pages, it can't spend a lot of time at the beginning to get you engaged or engrossed, in my opinion, with the initial setting, the initial toll where the characters are, like their home. And I understand perfectly why that's the case, because if they was going to spend 200 to 300 pages setting the scene and making this place feel like home from home for you, then this book could be over 1,000 pages, and it can't be. So the trade-off for that, I assume, is that the pacing and the plot progression in this story is so fast, you don't spend a lot of time getting settled at the initial home environment, which means you're maybe not that invested in that home environment, that initial place. And because you don't get to spend an awful lot of time with some of the other characters, not so much the main ones, the main point of view characters, it means that when events take place and things may happen or some of these characters may find themselves in certain situations, I personally wasn't that invested because I hadn't spent enough time with them. Now, like I say, this is going to be a natural trade-off for a book of this size. I don't want a long, monotonous, boring book that not a lot happens in, and that's a trade-off for me. I think another thing that didn't quite help in terms of me being able to connect with some of the characters, not the main ones, but the others and some of the places, is that the names of the people and the places just seemed a little bit generic to me. There's some fantasy stories, some fantasy worlds where the names just resonate, they just work. So, for example, in the Wheel of Time, all the names and the places resonate and they all seem to fit together nicely. Malazan Book of the Fallen, same thing there. Now, I know I'm using 2 classic, big, epic series here to compare the very first book by a debut author in, which you might think is a bit unfair, but it's not. That is actually praised. The fact that I am using those series to compare to this goes to show how highly I think of this book. But what I'm saying is, with this book, the names just felt like just a bit too generic and it didn't really resonate deeply with me. Now, I don't think I'm talking down about this book. Like I say, I gave it 4 stars. I've been trying to think of what stopped it from being 5 stars, really. And these are the parts I can think of. The one other thing I can think of is that I mentioned before that there's not that many fight scenes or battles, and when there is, in my opinion, they're possibly the weakest part of this book. it never felt grand in scope, even though there was big things happening and it maybe big battles, lots of people involved maybe. I never felt it. I was being told it, but I never felt it. If you may have read series by other authors where you can just envisage the entire battlefield, but also be feeling there in the moment with the individual character who's fighting, I never really felt that with this. But that is me being pretty picky, really. For you, you may very well read that and have none of those issues, or not even issues, but negatives that I'm picking away at. And I would not be surprised for some people, you in particular, may read this and give this 5 out of 5. As I've said, this is very, very impressive. What I would say is, if you read it and you like it, don't leave it too long until you pick up book 2, because there's a lot going on and you will forget. So all in all, I would say definitely give this a try, give it a go, see what you think. You won't be disappointed. If you're into epic fantasy, then this could very well be your thing. I hope you like the video. I hope you like the book if you read it. Let me know in the comments below what you think if you've read it, and if you agree or disagree with any of my views. It'll be interesting to discuss it with you. Okay, take care. I'll see you again in the next video. Bye-bye.